Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 23rd of January, comes to you from London. And the dollar is pretty well flatlining the last few days. We're still just below the cloud on the short-term chart. We've got small targets in either direction, neither of which are activated, but we're still sitting in that bearish position, medium and long term. Euro is also flatlining against the dollar, says euro dollar looking fairly flat as well, sitting at this 122 level. So we're just waiting for a break in either direction. Japanese yen dollar is also looking fairly sideways here as well, so just trading in that range, waiting for the next move. And sterling, if we look at sterling against the dollar, we see sterling is also just holding its breath, having had a very good run the last few days. And against the euro, we see much the same picture. So currencies generally this morning fairly flat, and we're seeing the same with sterling against the Swissy. And against the Australian dollar, sterling has had quite a good run again the last 24 hours, so looking strong there as well. Bitcoin had a pretty sharp fall in the end yesterday, fell off, having tried to make above the cloud, fell away back to bearish territory below the cloud. We're now starting to come through on the medium-term chart on the price, not yet on the lagging line, of course. And we're a long way from the cloud on the weekly chart, but we do have all these downside targets hanging over us, and at the moment, until we see reversal of this trend, Bitcoin is very much sitting in a downtrend on the short-term chart, waiting for a move back above around 12,000 to give us a higher high. That would be what would be required for Bitcoin to start taking off again. US market was up again last night. S&P was up about 10 points. The Nasdaq the Nasdaq was up quite strongly as well. The Dow continues its run to a new all-time high, now sitting at 26,200. Russell 2000 also just breaking to new highs as well. So at the close, that's very strong. The S&P future is up 0.2%, and the Nasdaq E-mini is up 1/3%. So we're looking very strong again at the opening for tech stocks. FTSE 100 is still below the cloud on the short-term chart, so just not enjoying that US rally, and the FTSE 250 much the same picture. So UK stocks just not looking as good. The DAX breaking to new highs this morning, looking very strong indeed at the opening. Nikkei also looking stronger, new highs there, and Hang Seng just continues its march up the hill. Shanghai also looking strong, a very strong day today, so we're seeing Shanghai's Chinese stocks really pulling away there. And the Sensex, much the same picture, this chart now just going ballistic, so all Asian markets looking very strong indeed. The S&P 500 not looking as good. The S&P 200 is Sydney Index not looking as good. Recovery this morning, but still bearish below the cloud. Brent crude is sitting at 69.30, making another bid for this $70 level. We're back into bullish territory on the short-term chart, and we do have targets now of $70.18. That's activated, and of course, longer-term targets into the 70s, so looking like we will break 70 quite soon. And we are in our strong time of year as well. WTI also bullish above the cloud. US nat gas sitting at 328. That's the highest it's been for a while. So US nat gas starting to gain a little bit of momentum here, breaking that 320 level, which is super critical. Copper just heading lower there, not looking as good as it has been. Heating oil also just a little bit in the doldrums at the moment. Coffee is trying to get back through the cloud, but on all three charts is still a pretty bearish looking commodity, as are most softs. Cocoa looking a little bit better on the short-term chart, but medium and long-term bearish. Cotton also is probably one of the few soft commodities that's actually looking quite strong, bullish on all three charts. If we look at sugar, we're bearish on all three charts here in a clear downtrend there. Wheat trying to recover on the short-term chart, but medium and long-term has been pretty bearish. Soybeans looking very strong on the short-term, but medium and long-term still work to do. And corn similarly is bullish in the short-term, but it's got a lot of work to do on that long-term chart. Gold is sitting back above 1335. It's back into bullish territory on the short term. Another little tick up, another 1%, and we'd activate the 1357 chart. All roads are pointing to testing this September high that we saw previously, and gold tends to run strongly at this time of year, so we shouldn't be surprised to see gold breaking to new highs. That would activate quite a lot of upside potential and negate this downside target. So gold is looking better and better. Silver also short term has still not quite made it through the cloud as well as gold has, and the long term chart again is not quite as good with more downside targets. If we look at US Treasury yields, 10-year yield sitting at 2.62%. So we're still holding on to that 260, but we are coming back a little bit from where we were. Tech stocks had a good run yesterday. Apple not so good, just sitting fairly flat in the high 170s. Google holding its highs, good day yesterday. Amazon also pushing higher. Facebook just coming back above the cloud on the price, but not yet on the lagging line in the short-term chart, but Facebook starting to recover, and Microsoft breaking to new highs again, looking very strong at $91. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.